morning, YouTube. My name is Anthony Wallace, and I'm a food safety certified professional here to give you some pointers on how to pass your examination as a food safety technology professional or food safety manager. I want to go over three things with you. First, to prevent food poisoning, you got to remember three things. That's time, temperature, and sanitation. The time that actually the food is on display, the temperature of the food that when you prepared it, the temperature of before, the temperature in preparing and actually serving, okay, and sanitation. That's prepping and after. The definition of foodborne illness is food carried illness. Again, foodborne illness, food carried illness, it is illness carried to humans by food. An outbreak. For example, if I walked into a Jack in the Box and I was manager at a Jack in the Box and two people came to me and told me they were sick and they are from the same household, that is not considered an outbreak. An outbreak is when two people, two customers that claim that they have gotten sick and they are from two different households. That is considered an outbreak. If it is botulism, I only have to have one case before the city can shut me down for having that outbreak. Again, any other type of disease like Salmonella, E. coli, two people have to get sick from two different houses. For botulism, Clostridium botulism, one person only has to get sick in order for the city to shut me down for an outbreak. There is a population that is called highly susceptible population. It is your pregnant people, it is your elderly people, daycare, including immune suppressed people. These four specific people cannot have raw eggs, raw meat. Again, raw eggs and raw meat they cannot have because they are highly susceptible of catching foodborne illness. Botulism is a specific bacteria that actually gets into the bloodstream, causing the client to become paralyzed. It can cause devastating um, results behind it. Again, the three major things that you should remember is time, temperature, and sanitation. Your temperatures is another thing that you will need to know on this exam. The temperature danger zone is between 41 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, that's 41 to 140. Some say 145, but it's 41 to 140. But the major temp that is a danger for bacterial growth, it is the most dangerous range, is 60 to 110 degree Fahrenheit. Again, that's 60 to 110 degree Fahrenheit. Make sure that all utensils, that's another question that is going to be on your exam. Make sure that all utensils are washed, rinsed, and sanitized. If it asks you what order that it needs to go, it is actually clean the area, scrape, wash, rinse, and sanitize. That is the three sinks. If they ask you on your exam about the three sinks, you will say wash, rinse, and sanitize your dishes and dry. Wash, rinse, sanitize, and dry. Now for water activity, which is also on your exam, the moisture that is 0.85 or higher is the perfect water activity for bacteria to grow. The perfect example is rice. Again, the moisture for water activity is 0.85% in order for bacteria to grow. On a pH scale, you have a scale from 0 to 14. 0 to 6 is acid, 7 is perfect, and from 8 to 14 is alkaline. But for E. coli to grow, it is between 7. It is neutral. E. coli actually can grow in water and ice. So, and that's what majority of the clients actually will get E. coli from. It's not just from the beef. It's from the ice that is served out of the utensils, from dirty utensils that is used to scoop the ice into the cups to serve to your clients. An actual example of acid is vinegar, wine, limes, lemons, and oranges. An alkaline example is soy sauce, baking soda, and salt. So just remember, anything that pretty much contains a salt and water is more alkaline. Things that are vinegar, harsh, that will burn is actually acid. Now there are safety ranges for bacteria. 70 is right in the middle. If you draw a line, just a moment. If you draw a line, a puddle that goes over it, if you can see that, 70 is right here. This is where the starting point of the bacteria. This is actually the infection. This is actually where the bacteria starts to grow and it defecates into the patient's system. This is actually intoxication. This is when actually the patient is actually going to see the doctor for antibiotics. It is called the bacteria growth curve. The most symptom that you will see from a patient that, or from a customer that actually has foodborne infection, is the most signs symptom you'll see is the fever and diarrhea. Diarrhea, actually, for it to be true diarrhea, it is the first 15 minutes after. It is the most common. Actually, a couple of things I want to go over with you that may be on the test. It is actually the vomit comes from the stomach. Diarrhea comes from your intestines. So just remember, vomit comes from the stomach, diarrhea comes from the intestines. True diarrhea, I needed to correct myself. True diarrhea is true diarrhea when you go to the bathroom every 15 minutes after the first hour. So after the first hour, 15 minutes on the hour. Again, if the test asks you about cross-contamination is actually, for example, if you're cutting meat on one board and then you decide to cut vegetables on that same board, you have just contaminated your vegetables, and there's a high chance of you giving your clients foodborne illness. Okay. I want to actually give you some background of the different types of diseases that are out there that may show up on that test. Okay, this is going to be the interesting part, the meat of the whole video. Salmonella or salmonellosis is actually a non-spore. It comes from poultry, fish, and eggs. Its cook time to kill it is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. The time, remember, temp, time, and sanitation is 4 hours. It should, remember that cook time, we want to stay out of that zone of 41 to 140. Remember, again, the cook time is 165. Okay. Shingleosis, Shingleella. It is a non-spore and it comes from produce. The cook time is 165. To prevent it, you have to wash your produce through. And again, the cook time to kill it is 165. Listeriosis, Listeria. It is a non-spore. It comes from unpasteurized dairy. That includes raw milk. It comes from cheese, luncheon meats, hot dogs, and prevention. You must cook it at least at 165, so everything is pretty much 165. And if you serve anything cold, just remember proper temps. E. coli or Escherichia, excuse me, which everyone has in your kidneys, but the main strain that comes from cows is 0157.H7. Again, that's 0157.H7. I guarantee you that will be on the exam. So please make sure that you actually are paying attention to times. And to kill E. coli, it's the only one that has a different temp. It's 155. E. coli bacteria actually hides underneath the meat. So pretty much if it is infested or infected with E. coli, don't use it because it's actually underneath the meat, and actually when you sear it, and it still won't kill it. You have to throw the whole thing away. If fish can be cooked at 145, but if it's stuffed, it has to be 165. Pork can be cooked at 155 degrees, but if it's stuffed, everything has to be cooked at 165. So again, just remember, everything has to be cooked at 165, including fish and poultry if it's stuffed. If not, pork has to be at 145 to serve it. Fish has to be at 145, excuse me, and pork has to be at 155 in order for you to serve it to the public. Okay. This will also be on your exam. An employee cannot work if they have drainage from their nose, they're vomiting, diarrhea, fever, or have infected wounds anywhere. Especially the infected wounds. This could be a big no-no for staph infection, which is skin actually going into the morning stew, or the afternoon chili. You do not want this in your place of business. I guarantee you, anyone that gets sick at your place of business, just the word of mouth alone will actually shut you down. There is Staphylococcal infections, which I'm talking about now. It comes from the skin. It's great in iced tea, ready to eat foods. That's pretty much what it is. Um, it's cook time it's non-sporous. You have to pretty much just throw it away. Botulism is a spore. Spores actually are bacteria that have, for example, when it's cold outside, you will put a coat on. When it's hot outside, then you can still protect yourself. This bacteria actually protects itself by putting on a coat to protect itself from extreme heat and extreme cold. It comes from canned goods, produce,